Okay, so I want to do.
Here's a.
Look. On the line off behind me.
Are you knackered?
I'm fucked, mate. Absolutely. So normally I do like 3 days and then jump on a plane and fuck off somewhere. And then jump on a plane and fuck off somewhere. But this time they've all been within. Do you know if it's within 500 miles? I don't think it's a long way here.
It's crazy, isn't it? In America, like what we consider a road trip, it's a piece of piss to them. That's just a little ride up road.
That's commute to work.
A couple of days is a road trip for them.
Yeah, it's a commute to work. What we think is like, I was going to drive to Edinburgh. I think the furthest I can get from our house is Margate, and it's 5 hours.
Yeah.
For them, 5 hours, they've got no problem jumping 5 hours in a car.
That's just the next place up, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, you tell me when
I've changed everything because I think last time I was like this.
Yeah.
I'm looking down. So I'm on an ice bucket. You know them ice buckets you get in hotel rooms that nobody uses.
Oh yeah, you're balancing it.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how to turn this up?
On your phone. Oh no, you're on your computer. Just normal sound up.
See if I can change it before we get going.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as glamorous as people think it is. Right. Get your notes ready.
I'm on sellotape in front of me. I ain't got many. I guess fuck it. I have a few notes which I'm happy with. The only thing I always struggle with is how's your week been? Because I never do out different. So unless something bad's happened, I'm like, what do I say? That's the only thing I struggle with. I have to start making stuff up.
That's what you should do, yeah.
Yeah.
We ready?
Right, go for it.
Right, here we go. Another episode. You'll have to tell me what number it is, Danny, because I don't even know what day it is. Number 10.
Fucking anniversary.
We made it to 10. So episode 10 of Chippy Tee podcast with me, Tony Palmer from Palm Print, and
Danny D from Flipping Sweet.
There we go. We are getting good at that now. If you've been with us from the very beginning, we apologise for the first 7. We don't talk about episode 3. It's just, it never happened. And you might have noticed a small addition. We're now on video. So you get to see us as well as listen to us rant on about what we've been doing this week. Which leads me nicely on to, hey Danny, what have you been doing this week?
I love it when you bring this question out. Right, let me cast my memory back. What have I done this week that's exciting enough to tell people who are listening? Well, I screen printed some shirts. Screen printed some hoodies. That's different. I'll tell you what isn't different. Screen printing hoodies. Why is it the hottest heatwave pandemic? I've been inundated with hoodie orders. I've done probably at least triple record numbers of hoodies in the past handful of months. It's crazy. It's like all I'm printing. Idea. I can't get my head around it. I mean, you always have a bit of a hoodie rush as, winter
it's usually as it gets colder.
Yeah.
When temperature comes down, everybody's sort of like, I'll tell you what I'll have some hoodies because it's just dropped a little bit colder.
And of course, printing hoodies is not as much fun as printing shirts. I don't care what anyone says, it's a pain in the arse.
I think it's a double whammy. Number one, they're such an open, thick fabric that you've got problem putting the ink in the holes, actually shoving the ink through. Number two, they don't want to stay on the pallet. Whether you use glue, whether you use water-based, hot tack, spray, roll-on, double-sided tape, hopes and prayers, whatever it is you use to try and keep them on there. One rip off and that's it. Nothing's going to stick again. So you've got that added bonus. And then you've also got that anxiety behind you, which is, if I fuck up a T-shirt, it's £2.
Yeah.
If I fuck up a hoodie, you'll have to help me out. How much is it for an average hoodie? £8?
£12? No,
12 quid.
I think you'd be pushed to get an hoodie under a tenner now. Even the basic level, at least £11 or something. So yeah.
So the risk factor is huge. I can always remember being here, and one of the guys here was printing some what they call Carhartt.
Oh yeah.
It's like a workwear brand over here. Yeah. It's coming over to UK, I think. And I said, they're nice hoodies. He said, well, they are expensive. And they're printing about 20 of them. And they're going round. I'm like, how expensive are they? Well, to me, they're about 60 quid for a hoodie. And you're printing 3 colours on it and flashing it? Nah, I'm out.
I know. It's just so much risk, isn't it?
Well, you mess one up and there's no profit left in job.
No, it is. It literally. I mean, I've made this mistake in the past where I've took an hoodie order on. Let's say it was 100 hoodies, and it was only single colour print. I remember it was like maybe something wrong with them or whatever. That's it, done. Not only have you cut out your profits, you've minus. You've cost yourself a fortune.
Yeah, I think profit for a week.
You're easy, bloody hell. And so one of the things I did do is I adjusted my prices so there is a markup on top of garments. Basically, so if you're using a premium garment, it costs a hell of a lot. The markup, the percentage is you're getting more profit out of it because you kind of need to, because there's so much more risk. So if anything goes wrong, at least you've covered yourself. You know what I mean? Whereas in the past, I've always had a flat print fee, whether I'm printing on a 30p tote bag or a 60 quid hoodie. But that took no accounting for risk whatsoever.
So what do you do with? So if you buy a T-shirt for £1, and you put before you print it, how much are you going to sell it for?
Basically, it sticks 10% on. So my new 10%. Little crazy spreadsheet that I've nicked and modified.
Adapted. We use the word adapted.
Adapted. It was free. It is available. Anybody can go find it. And it's encouraged that you adapt it. But anyway, yeah, adapted it. So you can set your garment markup. Anything you want, any percentage you like. We've put 10% on.
That is standard.
I think that's pretty normal.
It is a standard thing to do. If you don't do that, you're at risk of one damage and you've lost the money. Shipping fees, because nobody ever thinks about what it costs to get the garments in and out.
Yeah,
so you've got to try and do something to cover that.
I've never thought of that actually. Shipping fees coming in, it costs more to order 100 hoodies than it does 100 t-shirts. I've never actually thought of that. Maybe that's something I need to adapt on my little spreadsheet. But,
yeah, you got to check the total cost of what it costs you to get the garments in, including paying for them and shipping them, and anything else. And then add a percentage on. I know a lot of big companies, they love it when a total order value is high. So let's say jackets, the 3-in-1 jackets, because they actually make more money out of the jacket than the print.
Yeah, well, that's
as a percentage wise, it's a big lump of money.
Yeah, and that's totally right that they should, because there's so much more risk involved with doing them.
Huge
risk reward should be bigger. Yeah. How about you? How's your week been? Got that in early this time, didn't I?
You did, didn't you? Wow. You threw that right back at me. What have I done this week? Well, I'm not a printer, so I don't have the same sort of issues as you. And plus I'm travelling for this like
not many people do.
So this month has been basically, where did I start off? I went to a threshing bee.
A threshing bee?
A threshing bee, which sounds like something you'd do to a winged animal, but it's not. The threshing bee. Think, what's the closest we have in England? Do you remember them old steam engine fairs?
Oh yeah, like a steam rally. We have one up Road for Buzz every year at Driffield.
Yeah. But apparently, there's too much of a risk to do the steam ones anymore because they start to blow up.
Right. All right.
I've never heard of it in England, but
no.
So it's old-fashioned John Deere farming machinery, and threshing is when they do something to the corn, to the wheat side. I don't know.
Oh right, I get you.
Taking top bit off at bottom bit. It got too technical for me, but plus side, there was beer there, so I was happy.
That's all you need, isn't it?
Sun was shining and there was beer there. Go. If we go to a little like summer fair event, it was probably close to a summer fair event, but it was somebody's farm. And if we go to a summer fair event in England, this might be an episode all about differences between England and America, but I'm trying to keep it on track to screen printing as well.
Yeah.
When we go to one of them little summer fairs, basically, if you want a beer, you go and find like a beer tent.
Yeah.
You probably pay about £100 for a warm, can or a plastic glass that squishes every time you hold it.
Oh, you have been to Silverstone?
Yeah. Full of questionable liquid.
Yeah.
It's never cold. So I go to this summer fair. It's in somebody's field. It's in the middle of nowhere. And I said, do you want a beer? Do you know me? Of course I want a beer. So there's a beer trailer. Okay, so I see this little white trailer. You know, it's the sort of normal thing that you tow with your car. I thought, oh, well, they'll open up the front doors and maybe there's a guy in there giving me this warm yellow liquid. Oh, no, there's a tap on the outside of the trailer.
Oh, right.
It's
Cool.
all absolutely smooth. You just walk up, fill your own beer, and off you go. Thank you very much.
What?
So
You have to pay for it?
Well, I didn't, but I think that might be people I were with. Maybe they paid, but I didn't pay. I am from Yorkshire. If there's an option to not pay, I'm going to take the option to not pay.
Aren't you? You're going to at least try and get away with it.
Yeah, if you know me at all, you've got to ask me for money. I'm not going to volunteer it.
I know.
I filled my beer up, looked around, and went, all right, well, off I go. I think you had to pay to enter this place, but I didn't. I was with some friends. So that were interesting, threshing bee. And then this week I've been... Where have I been? Oh, I've been to a... Christ knows. I've been to a place that I've been to 3 times now, and this is sort of one of the best bits of my job, is going to a place and seeing the improvements that I offered actually take fruit. One of the places I went to, this is a bit of a weird one. It'd be about 15 years ago now, playing about with spreadsheets in Excel, and came up with a little formula that would help me, typical my phone's ringing, that would help me schedule, predict, plan production. It was quite unique to me. It was one of those sort of very basic, and I've always had it knocking around. And I went up to this place and I basically said, look, this is what I used to do to plan production. They've got 6 presses. And one of the major issues is knowing when it's full. An old manager who once told me, it's like a milk bottle. Production is like a milk bottle. You've got a job and you've got a little piece of paper, you put it in the milk bottle. When that milk bottle's full, it's full. You can't get any more jobs in. It's as simple as that. If you want to put one in, you've got to take one out. So I had this little spreadsheet, and it accurately predicted how long a job would take according to number of colours and how many pieces and what it was on, whether it was on a hard garment, easy garment, or medium garment. So I gave him this just to sort of give him a bit of a grounding to how fast things go. Well, I've gone back maybe a year now. I've gone back this time, and they've taken that little seed and run with it. It's part of their management system now. Right. And it's all built in, it's all automatic, everybody's got access to it. There's a little calculator that shows them how long a job's going to take. Because the print manager was driven crazy with, I've got 1,050 T-shirts with a 2-colour print, how long will it take?
How's it going to take? Yeah.
How long will it be? So this little predictor, the thing that exists now is nowhere near mine. It's not mine. I just give them the little seed. And they've just grown it and put it into their production system. And it was quite nice to see that it was running so well that the print manager was basically living in the scheduler, pulling jobs forwards and backwards, moving everything left and right. He knew when he was busy. He knew when he was quiet, when to put overtime on, when not to. So that's probably one of the highlights of my week. And of course, going back to places that are just starting and seeing them 6 months later, that's always nice as well.
Yeah.
But you remember right at the very beginning, I think it might be episode 1.
I can't remember that far, come on.
And you said to me, how's your week been? And I'd had a mare. I'd had an absolute mare.
A couple in, I think it was.
A couple in. Well, I think this might be a theme now. I think I've opened the door and I've let myself into this one.
You've not forgot another appointment, have you?
No, oh God, no. Never again. So I get questions all the time. Usually somebody sends me a picture of what can only be described as a shitty job. You know, it's this.
I don't want to do
Tony,
it. Come help me.
this shitty job. Well, no, it's how do we do it? The first question is always how do we do it? So helpful as I am, you need to put this on a 90. You need to put your underbase on a 60. You need to do this. Get your squeegees and this and do everything. All right, cheers, Tony. Are you busy next week? And I always fall for it.
Yeah.
Well, I thought over here. I thought there's no way I'm going to fall for that over here. Fell for it yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Fell for it yesterday. Tony, we've got this job. Can you do it? How do we do it? Told him how to do it. And it's like, are you still in town? Yeah, but I'm busy. Are you busy now? So when I'm over here, you can book me through a website. So
all right.
The dealer that I'm working with over here has a portal on the website.
Like a schedule.
Basically, it's like buying a tub of ink. Just buy me for a day. Yeah, the owner, she went on there. I went, okay. Sorry, not busy tomorrow. Bye.
Oh,
and I get a ping through. I'm like, you know where you are tomorrow, Tony? No. Oh, shit, that job. So I walked straight into it myself. I mean, the job went nice. It went well. It's always awkward. 7 colour job on an 8 colour press. This is always the issue with auto printing. You need a cool down station.
Right.
It's so difficult after the flash. The heat, the ink comes out of that flash at around about 90 to 110 degrees. That's another thing over here. I have to do all the calculations in my head, from Fahrenheit to inches to everything.
Yeah.
They're still on old money over here.
Yeah. Hey, that's funny. I found, what did I find? I found a quarter, an American quarter. I don't know where it's come from. I've never been to America. But it said Jasmine Tit's shop. And you know what I did? I'm gonna tell you. I'm off on one of my tangents. I sent Jasmine to Erin. No, I went to Poundland. With a handful of change out of my jar. We have like a little jar for shrapnel and what have you. Just if I need all nipped at shop, pick us up a magnum or whatever. So I gave her a handful of change. She comes back and said I sent her for some party poppers because I knew it was a 10th episode. And what we're going to do is, I can't do it now, so I'm going to tell you. When we started, we're going to go, happy 10th episode. I don't know if it made them illegal, but she went all around town and couldn't find them. Anyway, tangent, back to where we started. There were
so many Yorkshire references in that. There'd be all 10 of our listeners are like, he went to Erin. He went to Erin. What's shrapnel?
Anyway, I'll subtitle it with explanations.
Go on, what were you going to do with party poppers? Anyway, which also have a double meaning, but we know where you're going with it.
We're not going down that one. So just 10th episodes, I thought. So you would come on. Welcome to Chippy Tee episode 10, and now we're going to go, whoosh. But anyway, she couldn't find them, and we reckon they've been banned because it's a bang in it. Maybe
because they were slightly explosive,
Yeah, you know what it's like nowadays.
They're only the same as a cracker, though, aren't they? The same as a Christmas cracker, really.
Yeah, maybe everywhere's just miserable and don't want us to celebrate anything. Maybe that's what it is.
Ever. The joy thieves. Yeah, somebody's stealing all the joy.
Anyway, that was my tangent. Bringing it back to... No, I can't get there.
I'm going to let you. I won't let you. I won't leave you hanging. We were on...
You was at a print shop, you'd done a 7-colour job, and you flash, and it was pinning out.
There we go.
Temperatures
There we go. There you go. It was coming out the flash, really hot, so we need to cool it down. So that was it in a nutshell. That's why it's always a difficult thing to do on an auto, where the customer always wants a 12-colour job and you've only got a 10-colour press.
Yeah.
And you try and explain it to them and they don't believe you. So you say, well, we can cut some colours out the artwork. Oh, no, I want all the colours. Well, you can't have them all. Something's got to give.
I saw someone the other day who'd built a cooling station, and it was like an aluminium box. It looked exactly like a flash dryer, only it was full of PC fans. There must have been 12 of these little fans stacked, just pulling all the air out. And it was great because it was DIY. He'd made it. It looked so professional. It looked like it could have come from Action Engineering or any of these companies. It looked fantastic.
Well, have you seen box fans? So box fans are them white plastic fans you buy from Argos. They fit lovely.
You can't get them. This is the thing. You can't get them in this country. If you can, I'll need a link off you. No, because so I've told you about that little box window we've got. I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
looking out for a square fan to fit
A
it,
box fan.
but you can't.
You
It's
can
all
get
bloody
them at
circles.
Argos. You can
I
get them at
swear.
Argos.
Well, I'll do another look. But anyway, sorry, yeah, those little box fans.
So they sit nicely on top of the print head. They're just about
Yeah.
the right size to blow down.
Right. Yeah.
And certainly over here, I've got a customer over here who puts them on the end of the dryer.
Yeah.
As they come out of the dryer.
It just
cool
cools them before
down.
they land. Yeah.
So the person on the end of the dryer is not burning their fingertips all day long.
Yeah. You know, I don't really get it anymore. There was always, I think back in the days when you were probably over curing a bit too hot, the Plastisol shirts would drop in box, and if they were too hot, and then you pull them apart.
Sticks.
Yeah, so you don't really want.
That's the unique
Discharge.
properties of. I've been playing with Discharge as well.
Have you?
So I did some training on Discharge, HSA, and CMYK, which I love to do. But explain it to somebody who's never really used these things. The HSA, no problem with that at all. The CMYK, everybody gets to grip of it. The Discharge. Now, I am the world's biggest Discharge fan. I love it. I think it is still today the best looking and feeling form of printing you can possibly do. But this might go off on a tangent. Are you ready? Did you have to bring me back on this?
No, go for it. I can't criticise you, can I?
So I can remember playing about with Discharge, sort of 1987, 88. And we were working closely with Magna and working closely with Marks and Spencers to try and
Did you say 87?
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't even think Magna was around back then. I thought they were quite a new company.
No, they've been around for a long time.
They
They pioneered Discharge in screen print, in textile screen print. Up until then, somebody will fact check me, but I believe this is right, so I'm going to say it anyway. Up until then, it was only used in rotary screen printing. Have you seen rotary screen print?
No,
where the screens are a drum. So imagine taking a screen and wrapping
it. Right, yeah, I'm with you.
Putting a squeegee through the middle, and then as it rotates, it prints the pattern. It's a repeating pattern, always on soft furnishings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, from what I remember, this ink was around in that industry, but that industry uses really big ovens, really big high-pressure steaming ovens to cure stuff. And obviously, that's what Discharge needed, the high temperature, the long time, and a little bit of pressure as well to force it into the fabric.
Yeah.
And we were perfecting a way to do this with a chemist. We brought a chemist in, we built an ink kitchen, did the whole thing. First of all, we would print the shirt, then it would go through. Have you ever heard of a Reliant fusion press?
No. I've heard of fusion press, like heat presses.
So imagine a heat press, but it's a belt. It looks like a little dryer. So it's the Teflon belt, and then as it goes in, there's another Teflon belt at the top, and it just basically squashes it as it goes through. So we were doing.
So it's not like a stamp.
No, so it's a continuous flow. So we were printing panels, cut panels. So it would come off the press, it would go through this fusion press, and this fusion press would make the discharge work, and then it would drop off of there and go down the dryer. Right. It was very Heath Robinson, very sort of like the thing was stood on pallets to make it tall enough so that when it dropped out, you put somebody in the middle moving it round. But eventually, over time, I told you I'd have to this could go on for a while. Put your hand up if you want to interrupt. Over time, they've perfected the ink to work without the fusion press. It didn't need that. So if you ever take Discharge and heat press it, the finish and look
fantastic,
is just unreal. You can't feel anything. It's pushed into the fibres. It's superb. So we took that then, perfected the ink. I believe I'm right in saying Magna had a copyright, a patent on that ink system for 25 years.
Right.
And only recently, 15 years or so for you, did that patent run out, and then everybody else could start making their own ZFS, zinc something sulfate.
Yeah, that
Might
was
be zinc, formaldehyde, sulfate. I'm not a chemist.
Formaldehyde.
I just shove ink through walls. So anyway,
Yeah.
it turned out the best prints in the world. It meant we could put foil on them. Remember foil? Is that come back yet? Foil?
Yeah, you can still get it.
It goes like that.
It used. Yeah.
It's like a 7-year cycle. Foil, glitter, and high build all go round.
Yeah.
So the discharge was sort of like the peak. That's it. We could put foil with it. Everything was soft. We didn't need an underbase. And, it was seen as the absolutely revolutionary.
Mm.
And then I'm stood there in front of all these people who've never seen it before, and I'm going on about how great it is. And if you have like a pros and cons, in the pros, in the plus channel, in the plus column, you've got, it looks fantastic, it feels fantastic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing else. In my minus column, in my cons, I've got, it stinks. It's got an 8-hour shelf life. You need to manage your colours properly because the colours change according to the garment.
Yeah.
You can't print onto polyester. It's got to be organic. And you can't see what you're doing at the top of the press.
Nope.
You don't know you fucked up until it comes out of the dryer, and that could be 50 pieces away.
Yeah.
And they're all stood there looking at me like, why would we use that? I said, oh, and by the way, don't put it onto kids' shirt because it's got formaldehyde in it. Goes, what?
Yeah, you can't, can you? Mm.
No. So all these things, and they're looking at me like, we don't want to use that. We're a Plastisol high production shop. We're all about 100 pieces, bang, get them out, bang, get them out, bang, get them out. You want me to sit there and formulate the colour? and then test it on that garment?
And then find out it's miles off.
Yeah. So I was struggling a little bit there with that one.
So you didn't
But
want
the
to know
only thing they picked the ears up at Discharge base with Plastisol on top. They quite like that.
I love that. It looks fantastic.
They like the idea of that. But then, for me, HSA, high solid acrylics, that's the death of Discharge for me.
Yeah,
you're getting that feel. You can give it to a Plastisol printer and say, like, just treat it like Plastisol when you're printing it. But it's just a different cleanup method. That's all.
Yeah,
just a different cleanup method.
HSA, it's feel and finish of it's not Discharge, but it's so soft and light. It's beautiful. It's really nice. It has to print on a manual, but if you're in an auto shop,
I never. And you that told me, you mentioned it last week that having those 6 open screens and not being able to move them. My screens are only open for less than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And every 6 seconds they're getting printed out. So, but on a manual, you could be 45, 50 seconds before you get round to your first one.
Could even be
one
minutes.
of them's been over the flash. I never thought of over the flash.
Yeah, having tried to make HSA work as my ink, I tried to. There was a point when I first got into HSA. I thought, right, Plastisol's off in bin. I thought, this is it. Plastisol's off in bin. Much like when I jumped in head first, and I didn't know what I was doing. Jump in head first, work it out under pressure, work it out on the job, and it very nearly happened. But luckily, I kept it all, and I sort of I stuck at HSA for 4 or 5 years, and I even went to Magna and did the academy thing. So I had all the tools and as much knowledge as I could, and in practice over 5 years, to this day, I could put 6 colours on that press and it'd drive me out bend. It really would piss me off.
You'd do it, but it'd be a tour.
I'd make it work, and it would probably be subpar quality because of all the babysitting and running around and the stress involved, and I just wouldn't get as good a result, even though it's a better ink. On paper, HSA looks better than Plastisol next to it. Two t-shirts, exact same print, HSA, Plastisol. That one looks way better. But in practice, if I stick it on my press and I crack at it, maybe as I get going it'll be fine. But later down the line, as I'm printing, little things start to happen, and you're just running around, and it's dried up in this screen now, and fucking hell. Oh, now it's stuck in the screen, so now I've got to stop the whole process, scrub the fuck out of it. Oh, guess
Spiral
what?
of
I've
death.
rubbed out too much emulsion, so now that screen's off it bin and the whole job's fucked. It is. Water-based
It's a spiral.
printing.
Once you start on that
It's a
spiral,
spiral.
where you're chasing one thing, it's
Yeah.
horrible. There's a really good printer with water-based over in Norfolk. I take my hat off to him every time I go there. How he hasn't just thrown the towel in and said, right, fuck it. I don't care about the turtles and dolphins anymore. I want to print. I want to have an easy life and just print Plastisol.
Well, that's what I've done.
Well, it's his choice as well. It's his choice to print water-based. The customer doesn't know or care. It's his choice. He wants to be this little eco green warrior. Sorry, Alex, if you're listening. But he makes 10 colour water-based just to sing and dance. But one of the key things is once we start, we're not stopping.
Oh, yeah, definitely. On a manual?
No, auto.
Oh, right, yeah.
But,
I totally understand that.
He starts, he won't stop.
You can't.
Once he goes, that's it. He's like, right, I'm doing it. I'm off. Are you ready? Have we got everything we need? Because when I press start on this, even a monsoon, a typhoon, a tsunami, there's nothing going to stop me.
You want them doors locked.
Even when Sarny Man comes, I'm not even stopping for Sarny Man.
No, definitely not. I mean, that was another factor with me going back to Plastisol. I'm pulled left, right, and centre all flipping day. And printing water-based, you just can't do it. You can't stop. And now that I've got Jasmine here as well, it wasn't so bad when I was on my own. Believe it or not, having help was actually a hindrance to printing water-based, because now I've got people in my ear. Now Jasmine's saying, what should I do with this email? Carl, can you stop and do me a mock-up? Because she can't do Photoshop, so I've got to jump off and do it. Or back in the day when I was on my own, I just locked the door and ignored it and just cracked on. And, the job's finished when it's finished with no breaks. I've got a job up here now. Actually, no, I've not. Over last episode, I had a job up here with Ink sat there for 2 hours whilst we had a chat, and I just picked up exactly where I left off. No bother whatsoever. And you just can't do that with water-based, not a chance. So I think water-based is fantastic if you've got the right tools for a job. And I think as a compromise,
you have to set out why you're doing it. I say this to everybody. Everybody wants to do water-based, but then it's the big question is why. If it's like Alex, it's for him. It's personal for him. That's his norm. It's become his norm. He's been through a year of pain, but it's his norm now. And he would never go back to Plastisol. He's actually said, no Plastisol will ever cross my threshold. Like it's the devil. No. It's got a little salt line to stop Plastisol matching in. So, if you're doing it for that reason, hats off to you. Fantastic, well done. If you're doing it to jump on a bandwagon because you've seen a podcast where two northern geezers are talking about water-based, so you think you'll have a slice of that, you're probably going to fail and hate it. But if your customer's demanding it, that's another thing. If your customer's demanding it, then you've got
to suss it out. Yeah, well, I'm lucky for it. Yeah, I'm lucky that nobody's even noticed. Nobody has a clue. That's not to say I'm hiding it from people. I came out and told people straight up. I said, look, we're not doing water-based anymore, and I'm aware.
My name's Danny, and I like Plastisol.
Oh, that's how it felt. The amount of people messaging me back as well. I was like,
Plastisol and Plastisol Anonymous.
It's treated
you have a meeting
like the devil.
Once a week, sit in a circle. Hi, my name's Danny.
and I've got Plastisol.
I've used Glow Bleed. I'm sorry, I've used Glow Bleed.
It is. It's got such a strange. It's got a stigma that it used to deserve, and now I don't think it does. I think the Plastisol ink has come on so much nowadays. The stigma of the feel, the heaviness, even the eco stuff. I think it's significantly better now than what it probably was 10 years ago. And I'm
going to disagree with you.
You reckon, really?
I think the operators have got better.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the Plastisol ink has changed much, other than hitting a few regulations. But I think the level of skill in the industry has stepped up at least twofold from where it was, where we just used to throw shitloads of ink through a big open 10T mesh.
Straight out of
now you're getting people putting a lot of thought and effort and preparation into the Plastisol work. So yeah,
I mean,
it is getting a little bit better, but
it's phthalate free now. So and the plasticizers are.
It's phthalate free. What's a phthalate? Have you ever seen one?
Something to do with plastic, isn't
it? I've got a fucking clue. I have not got a clue.
Well, I'm sure it's plastic related. I did look this up once because, in fact, when I was switching, just to justify it to myself, I did look it up. But you know what my memory's like, I can't remember. But the plastic content of Plastisol, I'm pretty sure there's a chemical. Right, let me just work this out in my head. No, it's not working. not nylon. It's something.
PVC?
Oh, it's nearly there. PVC. The PVC content in Plastisol, if I'm not wrong, is significantly less than what it used to be. But a misconception is that water-based is PVC free, or it's at least HSA. And I believe it's not the case. It's just that it's less than Plastisol.
I think you'll find that water-based is PVC free.
Have I mixed some up here?
But it's not plastics free. I think there are some things in there. There are some things in there
that
have got a really good PR campaign behind them.
Yeah, there's something that I read and I forgot, but it is basically that. But yeah, you'll put it better.
Some of that I read, but I forgot. But it's true.
But it's a fact.
How are we not prime time by now?
We're just fountains of knowledge. It's just the way we deliver it. It's
the end of the line. The basic story is: don't drink the ink.
Don't breathe in flipping discharge formaldehyde. That shit is awful.
No, don't eat it.
Not your brain. I wonder if there's anything to that. I wonder if after all these years of being in closed spaces, breathing in plastisol fumes and discharge and water-based fumes, I reckon I've lost a few brain cells, mate.
I'm not sure they were there.
That might be an excuse. I'm just making excuses.
That does bring me on to another link. No, I'm not sure it was there. I'm sure people sometimes might make a presumption that me and you know each other really, really well.
Do they?
But here's a myth buster for you. We've never been in the same room together.
No.
And you talk about water-based.
Well, since I put that restraining order.
That's that line of salt on that doorway. I can't get past it.
Well, when you get back from America, we'll be having a pint, won't we?
I tried to sell you ink when you first started moving over to water-based. Back in day.
It worked.
Obviously it didn't because you're not fucking using it now. You've gone back to Plastisol.
It worked. It worked. I'm pretty sure. See, you told me this. I'd completely forgotten. A few weeks ago, you brought this story up and told me. And I'm pretty sure you might have sent me a mug as well. Or if not, somebody sent me. I think Magna sent me the mug. But off the back of that conversation...
No, I stole it from Magna and sent it to you.
That might be right, yeah. I know it was something like that. And off the back of that, because I think I was pondering going to water-based, and I printed another brand of water-based, and I thought it was shit.
What, like a disease?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. God, we get in trouble those. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't, and it turned out
get
it
in
wasn't
trouble.
as printable.
I don't think we will get in trouble. We might as well be sponsored by Magna. We've mentioned them all the way through this episode so far. We're either going to get sued or sponsored.
I emailed Therese the other week, or she emailed me anyway, and I said we've sung Magna's praises. So yeah. It's not intentional.
Won't it? Three Yorkshire voices. No fucker's going to understand anything.
Oh dear. We ought to, yeah. When we get to guess, maybe we
should.
Well,
it's the evolution. We've gone to video. Next, it's got to be guests.
So yeah, we've never met. You sold me some ink. And my life was just a pure headache ever since.
You're welcome.
You're buying that beer.
Yeah. I think I owe that, yeah. Excuse me, whose idea was it to... Oh, hang on, Tony. Why don't we do a podcast?
I don't know if I feel like that was a joint decision.
I think I were drunk.
If I'm not wrong, it was African beer at the time, and sat in a bar in Africa, I think.
Were I in Africa? Were I in Ghana?
were,
Wasn't
yeah.
I?
You were, yeah.
Jesus, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
definitely.
it's because it was cheap over there. True to me,
I-
Yorkshire Farm. I didn't want to
it-
drink it, but it was cheap, and I've got to. You can't.
Well, you've got to
can't
make most of it,
can
haven't you? Got to make most of it. So I did say a while ago I'd stop drinking and everything, and I did it for. I stopped drinking for 200 days, and I know because I set up a little app on my phone. I like to give up stuff. I'm a bit weird. I like to challenge myself to give something up, and it can be random. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll just give something up in my life. If I think something's
Crisps.
not good for me, yeah. I mean, I don't really eat crisps, but anyway, yeah. Let's just say crisps. And I've got an app, and it basically just counts down as the days go. I say, right, I've give up today, and then I come back and check it every now and again. And it almost becomes a game. So I find giving stuff up that's bad for me really easy, because once I start seeing those days tick away, I get to 10, I'm like, well, I've got to get to 50 now. Or I'll get to 100, I'm like, right, well, I better make it 200. But anyway, I had my first pint a couple of weeks ago, after 200 days. I had a pint, I went out, had something to eat, and I actually had 2 pints. Lager and lime, if you're wondering. And
Lager and lime. No, this is the blackcurrant and Guinness thing all over again.
Blackcurrant.
You can't go
Guinness.
to Ireland now, and now lager and lime. I know, yeah.
Did you see the story from Flex
Print
Print and Sarah from Ecopress? That's it. They blocked me. They won't talk to me no more.
You're not allowed to enter. There's a bar at the airport. Like, nope, don't come in.
Yeah, just wanted posters
now
everywhere.
Now you're doing lager and lime.
So I had a couple of lager and limes, and I had a mixed grill. Anyway, that night I woke up at 2:30 in the morning. I've got asthma, and I was having an asthma attack. Now, that's nothing unusual. My asthma goes around every now and again. I have my inhaler, give it 10 minutes, go back to sleep. This time, I couldn't breathe, and my chest and my throat were closing up. And after half an hour or so, I thought, this isn't normal, something's not right. And I started to panic. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I had this massive asthma attack, and I think what caused it, and I nearly rang ambulance. I thought, this is bad. I might have to go take me to hospital, but I didn't. I got through it. I think it was an allergic reaction, and the only thing different I've done is have a couple of pints. So now I'm like, I won't mind a nice lager and lime with my tea tonight. I'm a bit hesitant to try it. I might end up chuffing A&E.
Well, to back that up, I'm asthmatic as well, and beer does trigger it. So
well, I always used to, when I was a young lad, I used to get pissed off my tits, and I used to always use when I was a lad, and I used to use the excuse that I'm allergic to beer, and I genuinely believed it, and I was convinced I used to get a little bit drunker than all the rest of my mates, even though I was hammering my pints in double time they were. But I swear to God, it used to hit me just a little bit harder than everybody else.
Because you were allergic to it, yeah.
Allergic. So having abstained for like 200 days, I think my body was just like, what the fuck is this? I just had a bit of a shock and a bit of a... Anyway, yeah. So I have to build my tolerance back up. Build my tolerance up for when we have this pint.
Yeah. Not buying your lager and lime, though.
Guinness and blackcurrant will do.
Yeah, that'll do. I'm all right with that, yeah.
What's that one? Blue Moon and a bit of orange. They put a bit of orange in it, don't they? Have you ever had that stuff? That's real nice.
No.
Oh, God. No. I won't have anything with fruit in it.
Where were I? It was my last visit here. And it was a really small town, but the local drink was shandy. Now, how do you make shandy?
London.
I know, yeah, it wasn't much. So a shandy is half beer, half lemonade, yeah?
Yeah.
So they had a fruit shandy. And I watched the first one being made, and I thought, somebody's made a mistake there. Maybe that's a new barman or something. And then again, it came and they made it again. I thought, what the fuck are they drinking? Half beer, half tomato juice.
Oh, that's a shandy?
That's what they call a shandy.
Where was this then?
South Dakota.
Oof, sod that.
It was a local drink that they called a shandy.
Wow.
Well, that's not a shandy.
It must have it must have been lumpy and awful.
It looked like sick, yeah.
And you didn't try it then?
No, there's no way I was drinking that. No way.
Bloody hell. Christ.
It looked like old water-based ink.
Nah, that doesn't tickle me, that. Right, I'm going to bring it back. Because we went on a tangent. What did you put up on Instagram other day? You put up on Instagram a post about flashing white. Well, not flashing white, sorry. Flashing colours that you just printed onto white.
Do you know, it turned out to be one of the most popular posts I've put on.
Yeah. Well, it's a very interesting... There's different areas you can think about this. So, in my case, I know you're always aiming it at autos. So, I think what the gist of it was the flash... So when you print colours, if you peel that shirt off straight away and the attack is a little bit too much, you can almost warp it and stretch it. So you give it that final flash, and it just pops off. But that got me thinking, if you're printing black on white or red on white, what's the harm in flashing it and printing the last colour on top if you want it to be like super opaque?
So there's a couple of ways to attack this. Number one is probably old school me has been taught to only use a flash if you need it. There's money, you know. The flashes these days are a lot better, but they're still really expensive. You know, well, the ones I use are like 30 amp. Yeah. You know, they eat electricity, and if you're flashing for no other reason to make it look pretty and keep the glue warm, then when you look at the cost of a full day running white shirts and flashing, that's like boiling a kettle and then throwing the water down the drain.
Yeah,
you know, it's like boiling the kettle to say, oh yeah, I like how it looks. No, you shouldn't need it. There's no real... The Plastisol ink is designed to be printed wet on wet. End of story.
Yeah.
Does that mean I never flash white shirts? No. If it's there, sometimes I'll turn it on, and especially if I'm not paying for electric. But for me, there's a risk of burning the white shirt. There's I've got to be careful how I word this. It's almost lazy, or it hides your lack of skill. Now, they're quite sort of flammable statements. If you're flashing between two colours, it doesn't matter what mesh you use, it doesn't matter what blade you use, it doesn't matter what settings you use. So therefore, your skill level can be lower.
Right.
If you're not flashing, then number one, I think the first colour is softer because it gets pushed into the fabric and any excess gets removed. It's definitely not shiny, and I hate a shiny print. Some people love a shiny print. I absolutely hate it. I do everything I possibly can to stop a shiny print. And it sits better on the fabric. Now, where two colours touch, keeping it perfectly crisp and clean, yeah, we can flash it, or we can use the skills that we've got. Now, it's sometimes easier to just turn the flash on. So that's where my sort of laziness angle comes in.
Yeah.
And you know yourself, if you flash something, you get away with it.
Oh, yeah.
You get away with a load. The window for error is huge. If you're not flashing, you've got to have your angle right. You've got to have your pressure right. You can't bump it and bodge it. You've got to do it properly. So that's my main argument with it. Money and up your skills. Use it as an experience to up your skills.
I mean,
it's set the world on fire, shouldn't it?
It has a bit. I'm lazy as fuck. I use my flash all the time. Just easier, isn't it?
And so my flip side argument, because I always argue with myself, is it's there. Why the fuck not? I'm not doing anything special. I've not gone out and bought it. It's there. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, but
and as an operator, I'm not paying for the electric bill, so I don't care.
Yeah, but most print shops, in my case, now that you've brought it to my attention, I'm thinking maybe I should do more wet and wet printing and save me electric bill. I guess the exception to that, I guess the where you can hone them skills is printing CMYK, which you've just been doing a little bit of, because there's no flashing. You're printing CMYK wet on wet.
Some of the comments on Instagram were advocating to flash CMYK, which that's something I wouldn't do either, because you want the colours to mix and blend on press.
I'm doing the CMYK job actually, and maybe next week or two. So I might try it. I might try the two, see how it works. I'll flash one job.
If you are doing CMYK, it's different for you because it's an extra screen to pull. A highlight white, for me, pulls out a CMYK job so well.
Yeah,
and print it first and don't flash it.
Well, this job's on white anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A white
so
on
still
white.
Put a white on top, right?
Well, actually, I'd put it underneath. If you can do the artwork, basically you're pulling out the brighter bits.
Yeah.
So you actually get a brighter yellow in areas where the white is.
Oh, right.
I think the term is sometimes a crush white or a squash white, where it blends and it gives just a little bit of power to a design. I do it on an auto every time. And I did it yesterday with the customer I was with, and the difference was night and day. It really did pull it out.
Never thought about.
Sometimes printing it on top, if you don't get the artwork right, it makes it look false, like you turn the brightness up too high on a TV.
Yeah, a bit oversaturated.
But putting it underneath and letting it squash through, and don't use 100%, use 50-50. 50% soft and base and 50% white.
Oh, interesting. I'll leave that to John. I'll let him separate it, but I'll ask him to do that. See how it goes. I know. Never thought of that.
Oh, you use John, don't you? Yeah, at Custom Colour.
Yeah, a little magician, colour separation magician.
Yeah. Really good, really good.
Oh,
highly recommended.
Yeah. It's another one of those cases of outsourcing. So much easier and so much better. I can separate in Photoshop, or if it's vector, I can do it in CorelDRAW or whatever. But the time it takes me to do it, stood away from that press, it's easier and probably works out cheaper in the end, in the long run, because I can move on to a job quicker. Just to let John do it.
Sometimes it's like we plan these things. It's like serendipity. I had this conversation yesterday. So I'm with a client, and they have a designer, but they don't use her very much. And so I said, well, what do you mean? What do you do then? We outsource it to a big company over here. And we did the specialist separations, the silver and colour job with a base on a dark shirt. And I said, all right, well, I can tell you from my experience, that job, when I was sending stuff out for what we called specialist separations, which is simulated process. I think that's the proper word.
Yeah.
Process. Definitely process.
Process. You've been in America too long, you.
Process. Oh, God. I can't do it. Process. Definitely simulated process. Then an average price back in day was an A4 specialist separations around 8 to 10 colours was 250 quid. And the price that she told me she paid yesterday was around about 40 quid, no matter how many colours or size. I'm like,
John, do you hear that?
I know, yeah. I hope he's not listening.
He does.
But that then got me thinking, well, actually, if that's that kind of cost, I can work into my garments really easily. Is it worth me paying a designer and having a department when I can outsource it all to a bureau at that cost? I could never outsource it before because in my head it's 250 quid to get specialist separations done. So I'll only do it on special jobs, and I'll inform the customer and say, okay, there's an extra charge to this job because it's what we call technically a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
So it's an extra 200 quid. Do you want to pay it or not? And if they say no, so well, I can't do it because I'm not making any money on it. I'm not putting anything on it. That's what it's going to cost me to get it done. I have to send it to a bureau. They send it back to me. Don't forget, back in the day, we used to get films posted to us.
Really?
We used to get a cardboard tube. Yeah, you used to get a cardboard tube. So I need special separations. Well, it's going to take 3 days. What 3 days? Well, it's taken 2 days to do it. We've got to post the artwork down. They scan it on a big £500,000 machine that scans it. And then they do the separations, and then those get posted back to you in a rolled up tube with films all outputted. So that's why they were expensive back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. I just price it in. My prices takes into account separation fees. Should I need to outsource it? And if I don't need to outsource it, it's just a little bonus or whatever. But I'd say 50% of the time we outsource it. If it's just single colour stuff and it's vector, I'll just obviously if there's no separation needed. I'll just print those films off myself and just do it that way. But if you factor it into your prices, sort of built in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it's there, it's sort of a. You don't want to make money on it. You just want to cover that.
No, definitely not. No, that's right.
The thing that blew me away was the company over here, the bureau that's doing it over here, have got it to such a slick operation that they've got an office in India, one in South America, one in North America. So they've covered all the time zones. Doesn't matter when you want it. Boom, you've got it. In like 4 or 5 hours. You've got a turnaround. And I'm seeing more and more people outsourcing the stuff like that. Embroidery punching, that was another thing. Embroidery punching, used to sit and have an embroiderer who digitised. Now, as you know, if you open your inbox, there's every man and his dog's a digitiser.
Start digitising. Why should you start digitising to me? I don't even do embroidery.
You're listed as a screen printer.
Yeah, if you do any type of printing,
you might need this. Yeah, well, because along with digitising now is vectorising.
Yeah, so that's true.
Basically, colour separations. That's what they're doing for you.
Yeah.
Although there are some good pieces of software out there now that do it for you as well.
You can get. Well, this is what I say. Like a lot of stuff goes to John for ease of if it requires a certain amount of effort on my part. If there's a threshold, anything below that threshold, I just do it because I can do it in 10, 15 minutes. Anything after that, right, John, can you do that for me? Because I want to stand over here, not sat.
You're only making money when you stood over there doing this. That's the only time you're making money.
Yeah. That's what I have to prioritise. So I've got a question for you because I saw something and I've never heard of it. So squeegee blade, and obviously you know what your durometer is. I saw something called. I'm not looking at my notes here. High resist squeegee blade. So what's the difference between high resist and standard squeegee blade?
I believe it.
And the bloke who was selling it, this might give you a clue. Think back to the Egyptians.
Right, so I do know then. It's the resistance to chemicals is what it's about. It's nothing through the printing. It's the resistance to chemicals and wearing down. Imagine a squeegee is basically on an auto, is in contact with the screen 3,000 times a day, moving across the screen. It gets washed, it gets soaked in this solvent-based ink. Yeah. And eventually they either go wavy. If you've ever left a squeegee soaking overnight, you come back and it goes wavy.
Yeah.
So it's resistance to that. And then the wearing of it, I'm a massive advocate of these squeegees are consumable. Stop it with your favourite squeegees. You don't have a favourite squeegee. It's like having a favourite brush. You can't do it. It's just a consumable. When it wears down,
replace
then it, get a new one. You drag that squeegee that many times, 3,000 times. Imagine holding something and rubbing it against something for 3,000 times.
Yeah.
That's just a day. Times that by the 6 months. And there's no way you've got that same edge. There's no way you can keep that clean
You can
print.
see it in print as well. You can see it, even on a manual.
You can see that you pull forward. You pull forward and it leaves 10% of the ink behind.
Yeah. I've been looking at ordering a sharpener. And a lot of people have said that they always say, just buy the blades for cheaper.
Me included. Was that one of your little, I'm going to say something just to fire Tony up? Was that one of them?
Well, let's just pretend I did. Let's pretend that was my intention. It wasn't. I'll be very heartfelt then. And open. Do you know?
Yeah.
Well, I'm wearing me out on my sleeve and you shot me down.
All right, stop going for sympathy vote. Squeegee sharpeners, I'm against them.
Right, why?
I keep saying back in the day. Why are squeegee sharpeners invented? So if you're printing point of sale, paper and board, flat stock, then odds are the squeegee is going to be about 3 foot, a metre long.
Mm.
So keeping that nice and sharp was almost a daily occurrence. You'd keep it nice and sharp because to replace that, you're looking at maybe 100 quid. It's an expensive piece of kit. So you put it on a hand table, going like this all day long, it gets a little nick in it or it gets a little sharp. And so you get that nick out and you get that sharp edge back. A bit like a butcher constantly sharpening his knife.
Yeah.
But if you do look at a butcher who's really good, I used to work in the boning factory as well, with these really sharp knives, after 3 months, they're just like a sliver, like something you'd find in a prison movie.
Right.
You know,
there's not left.
There's nothing left of it. They've sharpened and honed the blade down to nothing. And eventually that's what we do with a squeegee blade. Now on a manual or a flat stock or something like that, where we're only kissing the top of the paper.
Yeah.
We've got maybe half an inch of sharpening we can do before we start to lose any travel or movement.
Right.
Now, on the autos, that travel is a set distance. How far the squeegee moves from the whole action is that. The squeegee's, the flood bar comes along, and the squeegee comes along, the flood bar comes along. So that movement, that travel, that distance is set. And there's a limit to it. And to make the machines fast, it's probably about 25 mil that it moves. That's all. Stop kicking table. It looks like there's an earthquake. There's a limit to how much it moves. So every time we sharpen the blade, we reduce the amount of the travel that we can put on the press.
Right, I see.
Now, on a manual, probably doesn't matter because you have unlimited travel when you're pushing that squeegee down. So it doesn't matter for you. If you're using a little nub of blade, a bit like the thing that you hold with your 2 hands, if you're using that, it doesn't matter to you. But when I stick that in a press whose physical limit is that movement, and if I reduce that movement, I'm losing travel or pressure that I can put onto the press. So I do get on my high horse about it quite often. The cost of 45 centimetres of blade in England is around about a tenner. Or it was. I like that. So for a tenner, you can have a beautiful, clean, smashing, straight out of the box blade.
How long do you think it lasts?
Good question. I think 6 months in a busy shop, printing around about 3,000 a day.
All right. Well, let's get some.
So you get for your tenner, you get your money's worth.
Yeah.
But I go into some shops. I worked over in the Middle East, and they've had them 6 years, and they've not looked after them, and it looks like a piece of old flip flop that somebody's cut out with a craft knife. It's absolutely horrible. And this is the one thing that really controls the quality of your print is the squeegee. I was at a place. I got taken to a place. Funnily enough, it's the same place I was doing the discharge stuff and the CMYK. And it was my first visit there. And so they hit me with loads of questions on my first visit. And I'm with the sales guys from the dealer that I'm working with over here. Mm. And I'm stood there and I'm giving it all this. And they said, "What do you about squeegees?" And I give exactly the same spiel I've just given to you. I get all passionate about it and I'm going all like this. "Oh, well, we've got a squeegee sharpener." So, "Well, put it in the bin. You don't need the squeegee sharpener. Ban everybody from using it. Cut the plug off it. Send it to Scrapman. You really don't need it." And they all looked at the guy behind me.
They what salesman?
I sold them that last week. Oh shit! This is the guy I'm working for. You know what I mean? I'm there to help him. Yeah. The first thing I've done is throw him straight under the bus for selling them a squeegee sharpener that they absolutely, totally don't need. Well, when I went this week, the plug's cut off it this week. It's not been used for 2 years.
God. Well. Oh well. It was something I was thinking about, and so there's a screen printer in Australia called Black Dog Screen Printing. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Yeah,
and he is unreal at sim process. the half-tone work he does, it looks, and I really look up to this bloke, and it's something I'd love to be. I'd love to be known in a similar vein. That's Danny. He does all sim process stuff, and it's like, fucking hell, look at them half-tones. And I was thinking, what is he doing that other people are not doing? And one of the things I assumed, I never asked him. I'm not the type of person to slide in people's DMs and ask them all the secrets, which unlike some people. I'm just assuming, and I just thought, well, I bet you any money he has super sharp blades. And I thought, maybe he has a sharpener, and before he does a job, he just makes sure they're all nice and sharp and clean. And that's why I was thinking, right, I'm going to get one of them sharpeners. He also pushes. So, how do you feel about that, Tony?
This is off.
I was shocked when I saw the video. I was like, shit, Tony's going to have a heart attack looking at these.
Each to their own. You know, if you want to be in that camp, you want to put blackcurrant in your
If you want to be an outcast.
Yeah. You don't want to fit into society.
Right, well, I've got a question for you. Weirdest thing you've ever printed?
Weirdest thing? Probably little girls' pants.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. That's up there, actually, yeah. Well, that's that one done.
You remember the belt printer story that I told you?
Yeah. I saw it was an all over thing then.
Yeah, so it was a vest and knickers, and it was little tiny pink love hearts. And you're sort of like, what am I doing? This is. Can I go work over there on the big chunky manly sweatshirts? No, stay there on the little girl's pants. Yeah. Okay. Listen, I'm not comfortable. What about you? What's the weirdest thing you've printed?
We did do thongs. We've done thongs. The weirdest thing we ever got asked to print was, if you ever go to McDonald's drive-thru and you want a cup of coffee, and they used to give you those. I don't know. I don't drink coffee, but I know of it. And they give you these little cards, don't they? And you put the little stickers. And it's like a coffee bean, white print.
Yeah.
Someone asked us to screen print 10,000 of these things, so they could just go up and get the free coffee every day. And I thought, fair play, mate.
I've worked in printers. I've always worked in printers my entire life. Digital printers can print those stickers really easily. Piece of
piss. You just need a large format. Well, we had a large format at the time, so this is where it came from.
They don't do it anymore. I don't think they do it. I think they changed them to white as well, because at the time, white printers that did white ink were quite rare, and then now printers that do white ink are all over the place. I think McDonald's have just said, "Fuck that, we're done."
Yeah, because it's hard to police it now, and you've no chance. You could replicate that, no bother. I think since the UV,
right? I have got a weirdest thing I've ever printed. Then, if we're going down that road, I thought textiles, but no, I have actually printed some. This is very similar to your Metallica story. I'll have to be very careful. I'm pretty sure everybody involved's either dead or in prison now, so we're good. I worked at this place a long time ago, and let's just say not everything was above board and out the front door. A lot of it went out the back door. So we did some shirts that you could only really sell out of a black bag. And this was a regular occurrence, and it was at the time it was quite lucrative. And then the same guy came in one day, and this guy was a gangster, you know what I mean? You knew, you just didn't want to owe him any money with that kind.
Yeah.
And he's like, what else can you print? So we print t-shirts, and we've got a flat stock semi-automatic over there to do some. Oh, you can print paper. Yeah, we can print paper. Right, I'll be back in tomorrow with a mate. See if you can do this. He's not going to want us to print money, is he? No, he can't be that stupid. So he comes back in. He says, "Can you print this?" And it's a box of a certain polo playing man on a horse, smelly perfume.
All right.
I'm like, what do you want us to print? The box. Well, let's have a look. And we took it apart, and it's got an insert inside it as well, like a folded, fluted card. It's got the old outside of the box, and then it's shrink wrapped in polythene. I'm like, it's going to be expensive, that, you know what I mean? It's printed all over. Then there's the insert, and then there's a shrink wrap. Right, I've got a shrink wrap machine. Oh, okay, well, we'd have to buy all the cardboard. Yeah, I've got a pallet of cardboard coming tomorrow. Okay, well, we've got to get the pattern and die cut and everything. Right, you sort that out. And we did print some boxes of
some dodgy perfume.
Of a well-known smelly perfume. And that was as far as we went. It went and disappeared, and he did the rest of it. But basically, it was a big flat stock sheet with all the fronts on, and then for the insert, we basically bought. It was dyed card, and you couldn't buy this dyed card that colour.
Right.
I think it was a purple colour.
Yeah. So
we got some normal card, thinned down some Marla Star or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
And full overprinted the whole thing, just both sides. And because my skill really were on the textiles, printing the big piece of I can't remember the size, like 60 by 40 or something, with an all over purple print that was given to me because I couldn't fuck that up.
It's got me
That's
thinking
happened
now.
twice, actually. That's happened twice.
Twice you've had a dodgy customer.
That was the one time where we really did have to lock the door and do it at night because we thought this is not right at all. The other time was at a factory, and I can say this because nobody is alive from this factory, and it closed down. So I can definitely say this.
Christ.
Twofold. It was in Leeds, and in Leeds there is a huge trading standards centre. You know, the main sort of like trading standards
all right.
centre is in Morley in Leeds.
All right.
And it's on the industrial estate of Gildersleeve. And we were printing about a mile away. And it was a pretty much a normal place. You know, we're all right. And every now and again, these pallets would come in of knockoff perfume. And we weren't printing anything. We were just storing them. That's all.
Yeah.
Now, there's two stories to this. They had an old-fashioned hoist. So it used to open a trapdoor on the wooden floors of an old mill.
Yeah.
And it used to pull up this pallet, and then the trapdoor would close, and then it'd go all the way to the top. So dangerous nowadays. But it was part of the old mill, so we used it. And somebody didn't fasten the hoist properly. We had a pallet full of this cheap knockoff perfume, and it fell 2 floors, boom, and the place smelt like Cheers on a Friday night. It was horrendous for days. Then on the other side of that, so first of all, everybody knew where you could get knockoff perfume.
Yeah.
And a couple of people took it upon themselves to be a bit light-fingered and take some home, maybe for home trials.
Yeah.
And one of the girls was in a pub in Morley, and she'd got quite a little gun. Do you want to buy some knockoff perfume? And this guy's like, what? Do you want to buy some knockoff perfume? Ralph Lauren, do you want some? Yeah, go on then. How much is it? It's a tenner. All right, can you get any more? Oh, yeah, where I'm working, there's these pallets and pallets of them. Oh. One of them dropped and it smells. Oh, it's great. Oh, where do you work? She was talking to trading standards, man. Oh. Got raided the next day.
God.
So probably the weirdest thing, not even textile related, would be knockoff polo balls.
Yeah. Crackhead Alley. What happens here? Crackhead Alley. So Crackhead Alley, my row of buildings here that you can see here, they're old fishermen's houses from like obviously hundreds of years ago. Yeah, actually, funnily enough, see that bit of grass here on this wall? That's covering a door, and above the door and roof there's a hoist, or there's the plate that would have been a hoist, and they used to either I guess the nets up through this door here. Anyway, that was another tangent. Crackhead Alley. So
does it open? Does it open? Let some fucking fresh air in?
No, it's shit. No, it's been shut now. It's just might even be brick actually. Crackhead Alley. So shopping centre, other side of the road. So what they do is they go on nicking shopping centre, and then you see them gathering out back, with a carrier bags full of perfume and shit that they've nicked out of a shopping centre. And every now and again, I'll be walking home through Crackhead Alley, and you'll get someone up to you and goes, "Oh, do you want to buy some perfume?" and stuff like that. Happens
It's not
at least
knockoff,
twice
though.
a
It's
year.
actually real stuff.
Well, yeah, it's not knockoff, sorry. Well, I should say nicked stuff anyway. Anyway, that was a tangent. It's somewhat similar. We had a customer come in once, and it was this dodgy kid, bit of a chav, and to be politically correct. And he wanted us to do these t-shirts, and it had loads of weird names. And I'm trying to think of some names, but basically there were strains of weed, strains of cannabis, and there were world famous growers, and apparently they have their own unique strain which they've genetically modified somehow. I don't know how it works, but anyway, they've done that, and they brand it like it's almost like clothes. You go buy night clothes, we can go buy these branded strains of weed or whatever, and it's just random names all over. And we used to print shirts for him loads of times, and he just disappeared like that. God knows what happened to him, but he did once come in
Prison.
probably, yeah. And he did once come in, and he were dodgy, that bloke. He'd flip like that. You're like Jekyll and Hyde. Super nice, super polite, super everything. And then you'd be like a few days into printing an order, and he'd like flip. It was like, you'd get this really arsey email. Or, well, actually, no, he always used to call. It would never email. It was one of those who refused to email. It would always have to be on phone, which I hate. But anyway, that's another story. And he once came in, and he said, "Right, I've got these labels I want you printing." And on large format printer, we did thousands of these little square labels, and it turned out it was rebranding what at the time was legal highs. These little packets are legal highs, which are now banned. And I'm pretty sure it was like, I think they call it spice, and it's like a major pandemic all over the world now. Like people in prison are just getting seriously ill off this shit. And I didn't know any better. But it turned out I was branding flipping spice for this bloke, printing labels, enabling him. Anyway, it's a moral. I mean, I was naive. I knew it was probably dodgy.
That's no excuse. That what stand up in court.
Well, that's the only option to go with. I mean, I thought it was just, I don't know, I just thought it was a bit of weed or something like that. But anyway, it's definitely there's a moral dilemma. If somebody comes in and asks you for something you know is dodgy, what do you do? Now, obviously, you do not do it. It's naughty.
Obviously,
forget about the profit. That's irrelevant.
Well, okay, let's flip it round then. Not illegal, still legal, but against your beliefs.
Well, that's a very interesting topic, isn't it? And
against
especially in America, because you do get lots of certain groups, and then you've got some people
it's very divisional.
Religions.
It's very divisional. So
you don't see that
if you have a belief, we'll go with political to start with. I worked for a firm, and the guy was active and very very forward in the BNP.
All right.
So the British National Party.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that the party exists anymore. But it was a very, we'll go pro-Britain. I think that's what they call it, without being really harsh.
Yep.
It's a completely racist organisation. But apart from that, he actively believed everything. He wasn't a nasty guy. He was a nice guy. He was an intelligent guy. But he wanted to do everything he could to help that organisation. So he would print the T-shirts for free.
Yeah.
Now, with political stuff, you have to put a disclaimer on the bottom to say that to say that these were printed by. So if you print for political, you have to. Yeah, it has to be open.
Right.
And so basically, I worked for a firm where not only did they print them, but they advertised the fact underneath that they printed them.
Right.
So that obviously it didn't sit with my beliefs.
No.
But I was an employee, so I had to print them. And now that was just a political party that I didn't agree with. Where's the line?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Where's the line? Because there are some groups that believe in everything from flying saucers to nobody should be allowed to have ginger hair. There's everything in between.
Yeah. I mean, I've printed for activist groups, and I couldn't care less about what they're
Just take the money.
yeah, it just didn't really bother me. It's not a thing. But then I don't know if anything's ever come through the door that's particularly nasty in any way or anything. But I guess if it did, I probably would say no. I'm quite trigger happy at saying no to jobs. So if anything came through the door that I thought it's a bit much, a bit nasty, I'd just say no.
So we've probably got pornography, obscenity, like swearing.
Obscenity, I don't care about. I mean, I think we know that one. I think we're pretty aware that swear words are not off limits.
No filter. No. I did actually print a job.
In fact, pornography. Sorry to disrupt you. Fucking pornography. There's a job just come in my inbox today. We've took it. There might be a boob out on one of the shirts I print soon.
Yeah, I've done. I can recall maybe 2 or 3. One of them was, maybe you'll know this. I'm too old to know this. There's a Japanese art form where it's quite it's cartoony.
Anime. The dodgy stuff. The porn version.
No, I think.
No,
I
just
think
straight
you're right with
clean
that.
stuff.
I think you're right with anime. But
I know nothing about that one.
It was all. It was basically a girl, and it was all about. There was a very graphic picture of a girl,
right?
Pretty much with no underwear on,
right?
But in that cartoony style of anime, and the whole image was based around her, sort of bent over, and you could see everything. And it was a really, really graphic, even though it was cartoon image. And I can still remember feeling a little bit uncomfortable printing this. And the excuse was, yeah, it's just a cartoon. It's not really, though, is it? It's on the line.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't know that it was legal to sell in this country, but it doesn't matter because you get asked to print this. Will you print it?
Yeah.
And it's that line. I don't know where that line is.
It's interesting. I don't know where we as I don't know where I as a printer can get in trouble because can you claim naivety to something that's dodgy? I don't know if you can in court. I don't know if it stands up.
So somebody comes to you and says, right, I've got this logo. It's a big tick with just 4 letters above it.
Yeah.
Can you print it for me? So
well,
when you print it,
what if somebody?
Yeah, it's only because you know of it.
What if somebody?
It's only because you know of that Nike as a other sportswears are available.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because you know that that's copyrighted.
Yeah.
If somebody gives you an image and you print it, and it's not copyright, who's responsible? You for printing it, or them for giving you it?
Well, I've always gone under the assumption, and I've always used this as a disclaimer, whether I can legally or not. It's almost a discouraging tactic of if you order from me and you actually look at the terms and conditions, I do put the responsibility onto the customer to provide us with original artwork. Whether that stand up in court or not, I don't know. But I use that as a tactic to discourage it anyway, because I can't catch everything. I don't know. But whether that would hold up in court or not, I don't know. If somebody asked me to print an apple with a bite out of it, and I did, and then someone reports me, and I stand up in court and say, "Well, how was I supposed to know?" Well, it's one of the biggest companies on the planet. Yeah, but I live under a rock.
Crackadelly.
I live on Crackadelly. We've not seen posh phones. I've just shot myself in the foot. I've already admitted I know what it is now.
Yeah, I think in court, I'd get some representation.
It's something I need to do. I had a situation quite a lot of years ago now. I don't know if we've talked about this, but we had a customer who was an absolute not a very nice person. Not a right nice person at all. He was just a big fat bully. He wanted to rip me off. Did a lot of work for him, and he was always a pain. And he's always drip feed information to you. He'd order it and he'd say, "Right, well, I'll get sizes in a few days, mate. Don't worry." And drip feeding. And I said, "Oh," and then you'd be like a few days in and start saying, "Oh, actually, I want it printing a little bit higher. I want to change colour." No. Anyway, back in the day, I put up with it and tried to. Nowadays, like, if you order, it's done and dusted before we take any money off you, and any changes, like, you can't really make changes. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, it was just constant headache. And this bloke got abusive, and he threatened to come down, and he said, "Watch your back," and he called me a scruffy tattooed and he just all the stuff.
Have you got tattoos?
No. I've got I might get a Chippy Tee tattoo. That'd be good, wouldn't it? No, but I could. No, don't worry. Anyway, got super abusive and nasty and horrible, and I even called police. I called the police and I went to solicitors because sometimes you can get so much abuse off people, or you can doubt yourself, can't you? Because you think, am I actually wrong here? Am I in the wrong? Because you can stand by your beliefs, but sometimes you can be so firm in your belief that you're almost biased towards you. You're biased, aren't you? So I went to a solicitor and I gave him all the emails, all the photos and everything. I showed her what's happened. And she basically said, "Yeah, don't worry, you are totally in the right here." I can't remember what I did. I think I got a solicitor's letter that sent in to him, and he persisted. I went to police and said, "Look, this bloke's threatening to come down for a start. I'm worried that I'm going to finish work, lock up, and then turn me back and there's a bleeding baseball bat over my head or something daft." And he actually turned up at his house, I believe, and gave him a warning. And then, this is how much of a bastard he was. A few months later, he called up on Christmas Day, left me like 10 voicemails on my phone. Obviously, this is Christmas Day, I won't be here. But to be that malicious, and who's got that in their head on Christmas Day? Anyway, that bloke was
that bloke the present he wanted.
Yeah, we can't do. Anyway, there was a point. I've gone on a tangent again. Point is, when I was with this solicitor, I did bring up the fact that, can I bring my terms and conditions to you and have you go through it properly and really properly lay it out? Because I would bet that the majority of printers probably, printers all on my level, maybe when you get to a certain point, I don't reckon they've been looked over by a solicitor. I reckon with a lot of people just copy and pasted it off each other, and we just
there's a lot of generic ones around. Yeah.
It's probably
all about getting paid and at what point ownership changes. Because everybody tries to screw you on. Well, I haven't picked them up yet, so they're not mine.
No, it's probably worth spending a few £100, taking your rough cut to a solicitor and say, right, can you just make sure this is all legally upstanding and I've covered myself and all this stuff. For the sake of a few £100, you'd probably save that on an order. That's if somebody tried to bully you into refunding them or reprinting, and you don't need to.
Did they pull up anything on copyright?
I don't know. It was 3 years ago, possibly. Can't remember. Anyway, that was the point we're talking about, wasn't it? Where we at? Copyright. No.
So they didn't bring anything up on copyright in your terms and conditions, this solicitor? No, they didn't.
I can't remember what she said, because I did mean to go back and get her to go through it, but I didn't. I did it, and I should do. But yeah, copyright. Just don't do it. Just say no.
Well, I think there was one point there was as a disclaimer to say that we presume that you have the rights to reproduce this image.
Yeah, that's a good word.
It's not down to us to check. So we used to get stuff as a workwear company, and somebody would come in and say, "I want this, this, and this." Yeah, okay, yeah, and I want this, and and I want this, and I want Disney here, and I want that. And what? Disney, because we're all going on a works trip to Disneyland. So I just want some Mickey Mouse ears here and some Disney. We can't do it.
Can't do it.
And it's a big argument in that. Well, we are going to Disney. It's a works do, and we want some T-shirts. There's 50 of us going. It's going to be a great. Well, you can put the word Disney in, but not in that font. You can't put the ears, and unless you get permission from them. Well, how do I get permission? So you ring Walt up and ask him if he'd mind you putting his name on your T-shirt. But I can tell you, there's all sorts of laws that say you can't put that logo on garments. You might be able to put it on something else for promotional items, but not on garments. Because we presume that you've got permission to use it. Another big one was cars.
Yeah,
so we used to get garages or car enthusiasts to give me a Ford logo. Not really, no. Because you big vinyl cutter. Ford logo and stick it on my car.
Yeah,
actually no. We actually fired a guy for for doing Suzuki.
Really?
Yeah, he was selling them online.
So he used to work. He used to work at your company, and he had access to the plotter or something, and he was selling.
Yeah, and so he used to do these little stickers. Suzuki, can I do my own stickers? Pays for the materials used. Yeah, do it in your own time, no problem. And look at his website. He's selling Suzuki. Well, I don't think you can do that. Well, why not? Because it's copyright. Well, what about Yamaha? Same thing. But I'm selling these stickers to people who've got a Yamaha and a Suzuki. I said, yeah, but in reality, the Yamaha could put a Suzuki sticker on, and that's misrepresentation. We can't do it.
What
to produce that sticker set, really, to produce that sticker set, you need license.
Wouldn't even cross my mind.
Wouldn't it?
No. All the old Scar logos and the motorbike brands and certain MotoGP riders' numbers. No,
yeah.
Never done it.
All copyrighted.
Yep. Born again though now. Born again. You won't see that out of my shop.
Veil yellow, I think that was the colour.
Yeah. I've still got one in my van actually now, to be fair. They bloody lasted, I tell you that. They were good shit vinyl. So you're in America.
Yeah.
How long you got left? A couple of weeks?
Yeah, 2 more weeks.
What did I see you at the other day? You put a picture up of maybe that was a corn festival thing.
Threshing bee.
That was it. Threshing bee.
Threshing bee, yeah.
You got any more plans apart from visiting a couple more shops, I assume?
So yeah, my last visit before I come home will be to Florida. So the guys down at Merch Shops, I'll be with them. Then home, and then everything's getting finalised now for doing the FESPA Mexico show. After big FESPA show in Mexico.
What do you think to these trade shows? Because I've never been to them. And this last year,
I love them. They keep paying my mortgage.
I'm going to say, yeah. Well, take that hat off and just pretend you're a printer. I
love a trade show. I really do love a trade show. I used to love going to Printwear and Promotion in Birmingham every sort of January. But the main problem, when I used to go back in day, when I were a lad, you would have the M&R, the MHM, the Anatol, the Sias, all these machine manufacturers would all be there with their presses trying to get you to buy their presses. And right over in the far corner would be BTC trying to sell some T-shirts, and nobody was ever there. No. Everybody was looking at the machinery, all the equipment, the plants. It was superb. I used to go and I loved it. And absolutely, the ink manufacturers were there. Wilflex were competing against Sericol, and it was absolute Coats. All these big old companies were there, and it was superb for a printer to go and see all these other printers, all these other machines, all laid out. It was like a kid in a sweet shop. The last one I went to in Birmingham, in England, it was a fashion show, and there was not one automatic press there. Why? Not one. Because it gets too expensive. It's too expensive. First of all, these pieces of equipment, let's say, you're not going to take your cheap one, you're going to take your best one.
Yeah.
So that's $100,000 machine or $120,000 machine. Somebody's got to pay for that. If it's not sold, and you start building these things is a 3-day process. Taking them down is a 1-day process. You would not believe the money that they charge per square foot just to put that carpet down there.
I bet.
And if you want electricity, it's £1,000. If you want Wi-Fi, it's £2,000. And all this stuff's there. But if you want an extra plug socket aside yours, that's an extra £1,000. Can I not just run an extension from there to there? No, if you do that, you get kicked out. If you want another electricity supply, you've got to bring in a supply. And they make so much money. And I was a little bit pleased that COVID sort of ended it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it made what it did over here in America, there's a show every 2 weeks. Some sort of show everywhere.
I feel like it's way bigger over there. I think people in America treat it as like a piss up as well. You see how print shops organising gatherings Can't wait to go to this print show. We're all going to meet up and we're all going to get pissed.
It's a networking event. It's not getting pissed. It's networking.
All right.
So over here, there's a lot of shows, and I think what it made people think. I know of a company, and they put around about 200 grand into a 4-day show. Don't forget, it's not just the space. The space is really expensive, and all the electricity and Wi-Fi, and if you want real toilet paper or it's all different expenses.
Different payments.
So there's a link back there. Did you get that? Did you catch it? And then you want people to run the show. So for people to run the show, you've got to pay your sales guys. They've got to travel, so there's air travel. Then there's hotel bills. And then there's the inevitable beer bill. And all these things add up. And then there's a time away from what your normal day job is. Some firms have a person whose only job it is to be the show clown and basically organise all the shows for everybody. That's a salary and expense. Yeah. And firms are realising that, hang on, when COVID happened, I'll build a showroom at my shop, at my place. And if somebody wants to come, I'll pay for them. I'll pay for the flights. There's no way I'll spend 200 grand on flights. Yeah. And if somebody comes to see me, they're already thinking of buying a machine.
Foot's halfway in the door, isn't it? Halfway thinking about it.
At shows, you get the tyre kickers. You know the guy that's got a GoPro Pro in his mum's back bedroom, printing onto a piece of old tile with a flip.
Looking at MHMs.
Like, so how much is this machine then? It's £150,000. So. Yeah, I might get one of them next year. Yeah. But I've got this big job. I've got my own brand. Have you heard of me? No, fuck off.
Flipping sweet? Never heard of it.
Yeah. Chippy Tee? What's it stand for?
Chippy Tee UV. I've heard of that though. That's going to catch on.
Chippy Tee UV. It's the future. We need to get some merch printed. I wonder if I know anybody that can print merch. I'll think about it. I want it water-based, so it's not you.
No, well, fuck that. I'm not going through that effort. Hey, I don't know.
So, thank you again for tuning in. You have been listening to me, Tony Palmer from Palm Print, and
Danny D from Flippin' Sweet. Thanks for listening.
I have to let you go because normally you do some sort of little rap thing. Maybe it's these young'uns that like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really catch on that. I watched it back the other day and I thought, not for me, that. Don't suit me.
Stop doing that, you dick.
It's all right. You look a bit of a boob.
So it's been fantastic. If you like what you hear, then please subscribe, like, comment, tell your grandparents, put a little window sticker out, do anything you can to get us some more likes and views, because we are at heart screen printers, but more importantly, we're attention whores.
Real people who have feelings. And this neglecting us with comments is getting a little bit painful.
We love the attention. Give us some attention. Give us some comments, especially good ones. So, thank you very much. Tune in next week for another exciting episode of Chippy Tee. I'll see you
in a bit. See you. Right. Stop.